The old moon outpost was quiet, but its silence was a lie. Deep in its shadows, hidden sensors blinked softly, watching every movement. The air was thick with dust and cold metal. Long ago, this place had been alive with voices and machines, but now only echoes remained. It was the perfect place for a trap. Virea crouched behind a rusted pillar, her eyes fixed on the dark entrance of the tunnel. She was tall, with smooth dark skin and eyes that glowed faintly violet in the dim light. Her people, the Clithery, were hunters known throughout the galaxy. They tracked the most dangerous prey, and today her target was the best of them all. A human soldier named Jason Reese. She had waited weeks for this moment. Months, even. Every detail of the trap was her design. It was not just any trap. It was a deadly puzzle meant to break a man who was stronger, faster, and smarter than most. A man who had never been caught. Jason was supposed to walk into the trap and never leave. Virea watched the shadows, her breath steady. The sensors hummed softly, waiting to catch the first sign of movement. A faint sound came from the tunnel. Footsteps, careful, slow, steady. Jason Reese was coming. The trap was ready. Virea's fingers brushed the small control panel hidden beneath the pillar. She checked the timer. 17 seconds. That was how long she estimated it would take to finish the trap's final phase. 17 seconds before Jason would be caught. 17 seconds to prove she was the best hunter alive. The footsteps grew louder. A figure appeared at the tunnel's mouth, Jason Reese. He was tall, his dark hair cropped short. His eyes were sharp and calm, scanning the space ahead. He wore a simple combat suit, worn but clean. He moved like a man who had seen many battles, but trusted no one. Virea's heart beat faster. This was it. As Jason stepped into the open, the trap snapped shut. Metal walls slid silently from the floor and ceiling, closing in around him. Lights flickered on, blinding and cold. Electric nets fell from the ceiling like spider webs, glowing, faintly blue. Motion sensors buzzed softly. Jason paused. His eyes narrowed. He was trapped. But then something unexpected happened. Instead of panic, Jason's face showed focus. He moved quickly, almost like a shadow. In less than a second, he was on his knees, scanning the edges of the trap. His fingers brushed the metal walls, feeling for weaknesses. Virea smiled. The trap was perfect. No one could escape this. The timer in her hand ticked down. 16 seconds. Jason pulled a small tool from his belt, a compact device shaped like a thin blade. He pressed it against the electric net. The glow flickered and died. Virea's smile faded. 15 seconds. Jason was already moving, crawling toward the wall. He found a small panel, a control box for the trap. His fingers worked quickly, rewiring circuits, cutting power lines. 14 seconds. The metal walls began to grind, closing faster. Jason grunted, pushing himself up. With a sudden burst of strength, he yanked the panel free. Sparks flew. 13 seconds. The trap's power faltered. The walls slowed. Jason stood, breathing hard but steady. He was free. Virea's eyes widened in shock. 12 seconds. Jason looked directly at one of the sensors. He pulled a small device from his wrist and sent a pulse, a signal to scramble her control system. 11 seconds. Alarms blared in the outpost. Red lights flashed everywhere. But Jason didn't run. He walked calmly out of the trap zone. Virea stood frozen, her perfect plan shattered in seconds. 10 seconds. She clenched her fists. No one escaped her traps, not her best targets. 9 seconds. Jason disappeared into the shadows of the ruins. Virea felt something new. Fear. She had caught a man, a soldier. But in 17 seconds, he had escaped. Now, the hunter was the hunted. Virea's mind raced. She had never faced a human like Jason Reese. Others were easy to track, easy to trap. But Jason was different. His training, his instincts, It was as if he could see the trap before it even worked. She paced the dark control room, looking at the monitors. The cameras showed nothing but empty halls and broken walls. Jason was gone. Her comlink crackled. A voice came in, cold and distant. "Commander Varela, your target has escaped." "Orders?" She took a deep breath, steadying herself. "Continue the hunt. Bring him back," she said quietly. The voice responded, "Understood. But be careful. He is dangerous." She nodded, though they could not see her. She knew the truth. This hunt was no longer just about a contract. It was about survival. Because if Jason Reese wanted to find her, she had no place to hide. Outside, the ruined moon outpost stretched into darkness. The stars shone cold and distant. Somewhere, hidden in the shadows, Jason Reese was already moving. He was hurt, tired but alive. He paused and looked back once, sensing eyes watching him. A small, almost invisible smile touched his lips. The hunter had become the hunted. The ruin stretched like a maze under the faint light of the distant star. Every corner was filled with shadows. Every step could hide a trap. But Jason Reese moved with quiet confidence. He wasn't just running. He was hunting now. The soldier's breath came steady, his body tired but alert. He knew he had beaten the first trap, but the hunt was far from over. Somewhere nearby, Varela was watching, waiting for her chance to strike again. Jason touched, his neck feeling the pulse of the small device hidden beneath his skin. It was a tech implant, a gift from Earth's military research. It boosted his reflexes and gave him sharper senses, a perfect match for the deadly world he lived in. Hiku stopped at the edge of a collapsed corridor, crouching low. From the control device he had stolen moments ago, he pulled out a small holographic map. It glowed softly in the darkness. The map showed the layout of the outpost. A dozen tunnels, several control rooms, and at the center, a large chamber marked with a flashing red icon. That icon was what he was looking for, a secret data core. Jason had come here for more than survival. His mission was clear: retrieve the data core and escape before the Clithery found him again. But first, he had to stay alive. Back in the control room, Varela stared at the empty space where Jason had been caught only moments before. Her violet eyes burned with frustration. "How?" she whispered to herself. Her fingers danced over the control panel, checking every sensor and camera. But the screens showed only empty corridors and flickering lights. She was a hunter, but this time, she had been outsmarted. The voice from her comlink returned, breaking the silence. "Commander, we have reports of unusual activity near the East Wing." "Could be him." Varela nodded, even though no one could see it. "Prepare the drones. I want a full scan of that area." Within seconds, small flying machines rose from hidden docks. Their lights swept the tunnels, scanning for heat signatures, movement, or any sign of Jason. But he was ready. Jason had learned quickly that technology was not enough. He had to think like the hunter, predict where Varela would strike next. He moved deeper into the outpost, using narrow passages and broken walls for cover. His senses felt sharper, every sound clearer. The quiet hum of machines, the soft scrape of his boots on metal, everything was a clue. He paused at a junction and looked around. "Varela," he muttered under his breath. "You think you're the best, but I'm not just any man." He tapped the implant on his wrist and sent a small pulse. Far away, the drones buzzed, then flickered and lost control. Jason smiled. Varela watched the drones falter. "He's interfering with our systems," she said. "Send backup." But the backup wouldn't arrive quickly. She felt the first real fear since the hunt began. Jason Reese was not just running. He was fighting back. Jason continued through the outpost, every step bringing him closer to the core. He remembered the stories his commanders told about the Clithery's illegal experiments, their secret projects hidden away from the galaxy's watchful eyes. That data core held the truth, proof that could change everything. He had to get it. Suddenly, a soft click echoed behind him. He turned fast. A small turret emerged from the wall, its barrels glowing red. Jason dove to the side as the turret fired a quick burst of plasma bolts. The shots burned into the metal near him, sending sparks flying. He rolled forward, pulling his combat knife. Using the ruined wall for cover, Jason sprinted toward the turret's base. The machine tried to track him, but Jason was faster. He grabbed a metal pipe and smashed the turret, disabling it instantly. He didn't pause. There was no time. Back in the control room, Varela clenched her jaw. Drones down. Automated weapons triggered. He's dangerous. Her voice was calm, but inside her mind raced. Jason Reese was more than a soldier. He was a warrior, trained to survive any battle. She would need more than traps to catch him now. She pulled a small device from her belt, a tracker. She activated it and sent the signal toward the outpost. A small dart shot silently through the air and hit a nearby wall. She watched the tracker's progress on the screen. Jason's position blinked red. Jason didn't notice the tracker until he felt a sharp sting in his shoulder. He reached back and pulled out the tiny device embedded in his suit. He crushed it under his fist. "Not today," he whispered. But he knew Varela had found him. The hunt was real. Jason pushed on, moving deeper into the heart of the outpost. His eyes adjusted to the dim light as he entered the central chamber. The walls here were lined with ancient technology, some still humming faintly. In the center stood a pedestal with a glowing cube, the data core. Jason approached slowly, his fingers brushing the surface. Suddenly, the lights dimmed, and a voice echoed through the room. "Commander Reese," Varela's voice said, cold and calm. "You think you've won, but this is only the beginning." Jason looked around but saw no sign of her. "I'm here for the truth," he replied. "You can't stop me." A soft laugh echoed back. "Let's see how long you last when the hunter becomes the hunted." The chamber doors slammed shut. Jason's heart raced. The trap was closing again. Outside the outpost, the stars shone cold and distant. Two hunters played a deadly game, each waiting for the other's next move. Jason Reese, the soldier who was never supposed to escape, stood ready to fight, and Varela, the hunter who never missed her mark, prepared to make her next move. The chase had only just begun. The heavy doors of the central chamber closed with a sharp clang. Jason Reese stood in the dim room, the data core glowing softly on its pedestal. His heart pounded, but his mind was clear. He wasn't just a soldier anymore. He was a survivor, and now a hunter. He scanned the room quickly. No visible exits, no obvious escape route. The walls were covered with strange symbols and lights flickering weakly. The air smelled of old metal and dust. Suddenly, a soft hiss came from above. Thin beams of light shot out from hidden projectors, creating a grid of lasers crossing the room like an invisible web. Jason's eyes sharpened. The chamber was rigged. Any wrong move would trigger alarms, or worse, deadly traps. He crouched low, carefully moving between the beams. His suit's sensors beeped softly, helping him judge distance and timing. The lasers were fast but predictable. With steady breath and precise steps, he crossed the room. Reaching the pedestal, he grabbed the data core, a small cube covered in glowing circuits. It pulsed with energy, like a heartbeat. Jason felt the weight of it in his hands. This was more than information. It was proof of secrets long hidden. A sudden noise made him spin around. From a shadowed corner, Varela stepped out. Her violet eyes burned with determination. She wore sleek armor that shimmered faintly under the chamber lights. "So, you found it," she said softly. "But you still don't understand. This data core belongs to the Clithery Dominion. It holds power you cannot imagine." Jason tightened his grip on the cube. "Power doesn't mean justice. Your people have hidden crimes, and I'm going to bring the truth to light." Varela's smile was cold. "You're brave, but bravery alone won't save you." Before Jason could react, the floor beneath him shifted. Panels slid open, revealing deep pits with glowing energy below. He jumped back just in time. Varela moved, fast, closing the distance. She was trained to kill, but today she hunted with a different goal: to capture him alive. Jason dodged her first strike and countered with a quick sweep of his arm. They exchanged blows, her alien agility against his human strength and experience. The fight was brutal but silent in the chamber's echoing space. Each move was precise, calculated. Jason noticed something new. Verea's fighting style was not just about strength, it was about prediction. She seemed to anticipate his moves before he made them. He pushed harder, forcing her back. But she recovered quickly, a flash of purple light in her eyes. Then she used the environment. She kicked a loose panel toward Jason, forcing him to dodge. In that moment, she grabbed his arm and twisted it behind his back. Jason grunted but didn't give in. With a sudden burst of energy, he broke free, landing a solid punch that staggered her. Both stepped back, breathing heavily. "Enough," Jason said, holding up the data core. "I don't want to fight you." Verea looked at the cube, then at Jason. "For now," she said. "But this isn't over." Suddenly, the chamber walls lit up with flashing red warnings. "The outpost is collapsing," a voice announced over the speakers. "Self-destruct sequence activated." Jason's eyes widened. "We have to get out. Now." Verea hesitated, then nodded. For the first time, they moved together. Outside the chamber, the tunnels were shaking. Dust fell from the ceiling as the old moon outpost began to crumble. Jason and Verea ran side by side, dodging falling debris and broken walls. The data core was heavy, but Jason carried it with care. Verea's sharp eyes scanned ahead, guiding them through the maze of corridors. They reached a junction where the floor had collapsed, leaving a wide gap. Jason looked down. The fall was deadly. Verea dropped to her knees and fired a small grappling hook toward the other side. It caught firmly. She turned to Jason. "Your move." Jason jumped, grabbing the rope. The grappling hook held tight as he swung across the gap. Verea followed quickly. The outpost shook violently, and a loud explosion echoed behind them. Jason glanced back. Flames and smoke filled the corridor where they had just escaped. "We don't have much time," Verea said. As they moved deeper into the ruins, Jason studied Verea carefully. "Why are you helping me?" he asked. She looked at him, expression unreadable. "I have orders, but I also see this fight is bigger than both of us." Jason nodded slowly. "We can't trust anyone here." They kept moving, alert to every sound. Suddenly, distant footsteps echoed. Verea raised a hand. "They're coming. Clithery reinforcements." Jason readied himself. He pulled a small energy pistol from his belt. Verea drew a blade that shimmered with violet light. The reinforcements appeared, 4 soldiers armed and moving fast. Jason and Verea fought back to back, covering each other's blind spots. Jason's pistol fired in quick bursts, each shot calculated. Verea's blade was deadly, striking with precision. The Clithery soldiers were skilled but surprised by the sudden teamwork. After a brief but fierce fight, the reinforcements retreated. Jason and Verea paused, breathing hard. "We make a good team," Jason said, trying to catch his breath. Verea smiled faintly. "For now." They moved toward the surface, closer to the outpost's exit, but the ruins were unstable and every step was dangerous. Jason felt the weight of the data core again. This small object held the future. He looked at Verea. "What happens after we leave this place?" he asked. She hesitated. "We fight. We expose the truth. And maybe we change everything." Jason nodded. They were no longer just hunter and hunted. They were partners, at least for now. Outside, the cold moon sky stretched above them, silent and endless. Jason and Verea stood at the edge of the ruins, the stars shining like distant fires. Behind them, the outpost burned. Ahead, the unknown waited. But for the first time, Jason felt hope. Because he was not alone. The stars were cold and distant as Jason, Reese, and Verea made their way away from the burning ruins of the outpost. The data core pulsed, softly in Jason's hands like a quiet heartbeat, its light reflecting in his tired eyes. Though they had escaped the immediate danger, neither of them felt safe. The hunt was far from over. Virea moved with practiced grace, her sharp eyes scanning every shadow for threats. Even as an ally, if only temporary, she remained cautious. Trust was a luxury neither could afford. Jason broke the silence. What exactly is in that data core? Why would your people risk so much to protect it? Virea paused, glancing at him with a flicker of something unspoken in her violet eyes. The data core holds the truth about the Clithery Dominion's past and its future. Secrets that many would kill to hide. Jason frowned. Secrets? Like what? She sighed, lowering her voice. Experiments? Weapons? Deals made in darkness. The Dominion's leaders have twisted power into something dangerous. If those secrets get out, it could change the balance of the galaxy. Jason's grip tightened on the core. Then that makes us both targets, yes. Virea's voice was steady. And not just from the Dominion. There are others who want the core for their own gain. The two moved carefully through a narrow canyon, the rocky walls offering some cover but also hiding unknown dangers. The wind whispered softly, carrying dust and distant echoes. Jason took a deep breath. We need allies. Virea shook her head. We can't trust anyone out here. Not yet. Jason's eyes scanned the horizon. Then we start with information. We find someone who can help us understand what's in the core. Virea looked at him. There is one. An old contact, a traitor who deals in forbidden knowledge. He's cautious, but he might help. Jason nodded. Lead the way. The path to the traitor's outpost was long and dangerous. The ruins of old settlements and forgotten battlefields marked the landscape like scars. As they traveled, Jason studied Virea more closely. She was different from what he expected. A fierce hunter, yes, but also someone who carried the weight of her people's struggles. Why did you join the Dominion's hunt? Jason asked suddenly. Virea's eyes darkened. Because it was my duty. But also because I believed in protecting my people. I never wanted this to become personal. Jason nodded slowly. Now it is personal. She gave a small, sad smile. Yes, it is. After several hours, they reached a small settlement built into a rocky cliff. The trader's outpost was hidden inside a maze of caves and metal structures patched together with wires and scrap. Inside, the air was thick with smoke and the smell of burning oil. The trader, a wiry man with sharp eyes and a patch over one eye, greeted them cautiously. Virea, he said with a nod. He said with a, and you must be the human soldier. Jason stepped forward, holding out the data core. We need information. What is this? The trader studied the cube carefully, then shook his head. Dangerous. Very dangerous. He led them deeper into the cave, past rows of strange devices and containers filled with unknown materials. Legends say this core holds the blueprint for a weapon unlike any other, the trader said quietly. One that could control minds or destroy entire worlds. Jason's eyes widened. Is that true? The trader shrugged. Some believe it. Others think it's just a story to scare enemies. But whatever it is, many will do anything to get it. Virea's voice was firm. We can't let that happen. The trader nodded slowly. If you want to understand it, you need to find an expert. Someone who knows the old technologies. Jason frowned. Where? The trader pointed to a star map on the wall. There is a place, a forgotten research station on the edge of this system. It holds archives that might explain the core. Jason looked at Virea. We have to go there. She agreed. But we must be careful. The Dominion will send more hunters. That night under the cold stars, Jason and Virea prepared for the next leg of their journey. They shared a small fire, the quiet between them filled with unspoken thoughts. Jason broke the silence. I never thought I'd be working with a Clithery. Virea smiled softly. I never thought I'd need a human's help. They both laughed quietly. It was the first time since the hunt began that the weight between them felt a little lighter. Jason looked up at the sky. Whatever happens next, we do it together. Viraya nodded. Together. As dawn broke, they left the settlement behind and headed toward the forgotten research station. The road ahead was uncertain, but their purpose was clear. The secrets of the data core were waiting, and so was the danger. The journey to the forgotten research station was long and perilous. Jason, Reese, and Viraya traveled through harsh landscapes where jagged rocks tore at their boots and cold winds whipped across the empty plains. The stars above were their only guides in the endless night. Both knew this station held answers, the kind that could change everything. As they neared the coordinates, the shape of the station appeared against the dark sky. It was old, covered in rust and vines, barely holding together after decades of neglect. Its windows were cracked, and some walls had crumbled, but its heart still beat with silent technology. Jason felt a chill. Looks abandoned. Could be dangerous. Viraya nodded. That's why we need to be careful. This place holds knowledge, old technology, and secrets the Dominion wants erased. They moved cautiously, entering through a heavy door that groaned on broken hinges. Inside, the air was thick, with dust and the faint hum of power. The walls were lined with data terminals and shelves filled with ancient devices. Jason's eyes adjusted to the dim light. Let's find that archive. The station was a maze. Corridors twisted and turned, and many rooms were locked or damaged. Jason's implant scanned for active systems, guiding them to a large chamber marked as the data archive. Viraya tapped a panel, and the door slid open slowly, revealing rows of glowing consoles and holographic displays. Jason approached a terminal, connecting the data core. The room filled with light as information flowed onto the screens, files, videos, and schematics from years past. They watched together as images revealed experiments that the Dominion had hidden, weapon designs, mind control devices, and records of secret battles. Jason's jaw tightened. This could change everything we know about the war. Viraya's voice was quiet. The Dominion has lied to their own people. We must expose the truth. Suddenly, a sharp sound echoed through the station, the alarm system activating. Jason looked up. We're not alone. Outside the station, dark ships appeared on the horizon. The Dominion had sent reinforcements. Jason and Viraya hurried too. Download more data, their hands moving quickly over the controls. We need to move, Viraya said. They'll be here soon. Jason grabbed the data core again and looked around. Is there another way out? He asked. Viraya pointed toward a narrow maintenance tunnel. This way, it's old, but it leads outside. They ran through twisting halls, the sound of approaching ships growing louder. As they entered the tunnel, Viraya stopped suddenly. Jason turned to see her tense. They're following us, she whispered. The chase was close. The Dominion soldiers moved fast, their footsteps echoing in the tunnels. Jason and Viraya fought back to back, using the narrow passage to their advantage. Jason's pistol fired bursts of light, forcing their pursuers to retreat momentarily, but the tunnels were collapsing, rocks falling around them. Viraya grabbed Jason's arm. Keep moving! They jumped over broken sections and climbed over rubble. Finally, they burst out into the open air. Outside, the cold wind hit their faces. The station loomed behind them, smoke rising from damaged parts. Jason looked up at the ships closing in. We have to get to our ship, he said. Viraya nodded, pointing toward a distant landing pad. They ran as fast as they could, the Dominion forces close behind. As they reached the landing pad, their ship waited silently. Jason hurried inside and started the engines. Viraya locked the doors behind her. The ship lifted off just as the Dominion soldiers arrived, firing weapons that sent sparks flying near the hull. Jason's hands flew over, the controls dodging incoming fire. They escaped into the dark sky, leaving the station and their pursuers behind. Inside the ship, Jason and Viraya took a moment to catch their breath. Jason looked at the data core. We have what we need. But this is just the beginning. Viraya nodded. Now we find the people who can help us use this information. Jason smiled faintly. and maybe stop the Dominion once and for all. The stars outside the window stretched endlessly as their ship sped toward an uncertain future. Together, Jason Reese and Varela prepared for the battles yet to come. The truth was their weapon, and they would wield it with everything they had. The stars streaked past the viewport as Jason Reese and Varela piloted their small ship through the silent void. The weight of the data core between them was heavy, not just in their hands but on their minds. Every secret it held could topple empires or ignite new wars. Jason sat back, rubbing his tired eyes. We need help. Someone outside this fight who can see the bigger picture. Varela nodded. There is one place, a hidden station where the truth is respected. A sanctuary for those who seek justice. Jason raised an eyebrow. Sounds like a myth. She smiled faintly. It's real. But getting there won't be easy. The sanctuary was called the Veil, a secret outpost deep in a neighboring star system. Rumors said it was home to scholars, diplomats, and rebels working against the Dominion's shadow. Their route took them through dangerous space, pirate zones, abandoned battlefields, and black holes twisting time and light. As they approached, Jason felt tension coil inside him. Every jump through space brought new risks. Suddenly, the ship's sensors beeped urgently. Incoming ship, Varela said, eyes sharp. On the radar, a sleek fighter closed fast. Jason grabbed the controls, preparing to evade. The other ship hailed, them, a cold voice echoing through the cabin. This is Commander Laxor of the Cletheri fleet. Surrender the data core and prepare to be boarded. Jason's jaw clenched. We're not giving up. Varela steadied her voice. We're coming into Veil space. You don't want to follow. There was a tense pause. Then, Commander Laxor's ship broke off, disappearing into the darkness. Jason let out a slow breath. That was close. Inside the Veil, the atmosphere was different. Soft lights glowed, and voices spoke in quiet urgency. Walls were lined with screens showing news and data from across the galaxy. Jason and Varela were led to a council chamber, where leaders from many worlds gathered. They looked weary but determined. A tall woman stepped forward. Her skin was dark, eyes bright with wisdom. I am Commander Syra, she said. We have heard of your fight, and of the data core. Jason handed her the cube. Syra studied it carefully. This changes everything. The Dominion's lies are deeper than we imagined. Varela nodded. We need to share this information to unite those who oppose the Dominion. Syra's expression hardened. But that means danger. Many will try to stop us. Jason's voice was firm. We're ready. The council worked late into the night. Plans were made to release the data safely, to contact allies in hidden cells, and to prepare for the Dominion's response. Jason felt hope growing. For the first time, he saw a chance to fight not just for survival but for freedom. Varela stood beside him. The Dominion underestimates us. Jason smiled. That's their mistake. Suddenly, alarms sounded. The sanctuary's defense systems lit up. Syra's eyes widened. They found us. Jason and Varela rushed to the windows. Outside, Dominion ships were advancing fast, weapons ready. We must hold the Veil, Syra ordered, but evacuation plans are ready if needed. Jason looked at Varela. We fight together no matter what. Varela nodded, her blade gleaming in the low light. The battle for the Veil was fierce. Jason manned the ship's weapons, firing at incoming fighters. Varela led a team on the ground, defending key points and protecting civilians. The Dominion's assault was relentless, but the defenders were prepared. Jason felt the pulse of the fight in his veins, fear mixed with determination. As explosions rocked the station, he saw Varela's figure moving swiftly, cutting down enemies with skill and grace. Hours passed like minutes. The Dominion forces began to retreat, unable to break through the sanctuary's defenses. Syra turned to Jason. You have done well. Your courage inspires us all. Jason wiped sweat from his brow. This fight is far from over. Varela smiled softly. But today, we won. As calm returned, Jason looked at the data core once more. The secrets inside were powerful, but now, he understood something more important. The fight for freedom wasn't just about weapons or technology. It was about trust, hope, and unity. He turned to Varaya. "We've come far. Together," she nodded. "And we'll go further." Outside, the stars continued their silent dance. Jason and Varaya stood ready for the challenges ahead, because in the darkness of space, even the smallest light can change. The future. The silence of space was broken only by the hum of their ship's engines as Jason, Reese, and Varaya prepared for what could be the last battle. The information they carried had already shaken the galaxy, exposing the lies and cruelty of the Clithery Dominion. But now, the Dominion's full fury was turning toward them. In the command room of the Vale Sanctuary, Jason studied the star map projected in front of him. Dominion warships were gathering near the edge of the system. Their numbers were overwhelming. Syra stood beside him, her voice steady but grave. "This is their final attempt. If they take the sanctuary, all hope is lost." Jason clenched his fists. "We can't let that happen." Varaya approached, her eyes fierce with determination. "We've fought too hard to give up now." The defenders of the Vale prepared for the oncoming storm. Ships were armed, energy shields powered up, and fighters loaded weapons. Soldiers moved through the corridors, checking gear and offering quiet words of encouragement. Jason joined a small team of pilots. "We fly out and draw their fire," he said. "Give the ground forces time to prepare." Varaya stayed behind with the defenders, ready to protect the sanctuary from any who slipped through the defenses. As the enemy fleet arrived, dark and threatening against the starry backdrop, Jason's ship launched into the void. The battle began, with a furious exchange of laser fire and missile volleys. Jason's ship weaved through the enemy fleet, firing at incoming fighters and drawing attention away from the Vale. Explosions lit the darkness as ships collided and broke apart. Jason's heart pounded, but his hands were steady on the controls. In the distance, he could see the defenders holding strong, energy shields flickering but unbroken. Back on the sanctuary, Varaya led the defense with calm strength. Her blade was a blur as she moved through the corridors, disabling enemy soldiers who had managed to land. She fought not just for herself, but for all those who believed in freedom. The halls echoed with the sounds of battle, shouts, the hum of energy weapons, and the clash of metal. Jason's ship took heavy damage, but he refused to fall back. Each shot he fired was a promise that the Vale would survive. Suddenly, an explosion rocked his cockpit. His systems flickered, alarms blared. "Hold together, old girl," he muttered, pushing the ship harder. Meanwhile, inside the sanctuary, Varaya faced the Dominion's commander, Laxor himself, their eyes locked in a fierce challenge. "You won't stop the Dominion," Laxor snarled. Varaya's reply was calm and sure. "We already have." Their fight was fierce, but brief. Varaya's skill won out, and Laxor fell defeated. Jason saw the retreat signal from the enemy fleet as the defenders pushed them back. His ship limped back to the sanctuary, smoke trailing from damaged engines. As he landed, Varaya was waiting. She smiled tiredly. "You made it?" Jason nodded. "We all did, thanks to you." In the aftermath, the council gathered once more. The Data Corps' secrets were shared across the galaxy, exposing the Dominion's darkest deeds and inspiring resistance movements on many worlds. Jason looked around the room at new friends and allies. Sarah's voice was full of hope. "This is the beginning of a new era," Varaya added, "one where truth and freedom can finally shine." As they prepared to part ways, Jason and Varaya stood together, looking up at the stars. "Do you think this is over?" Jason asked quietly. Varaya shook her head. "No, but we've made a difference." Jason smiled. "And together, we'll keep fighting." The galaxy was vast and full of dangers, but also hope. Jason Reese, the soldier who escaped the hunter's trap in 17 seconds, had found a cause worth fighting for, and a partner who would stand by him. Their story was far from finished, and the stars awaited.